broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by Kennesaw State University's Executive MBA program, the accelerated degree program for working professionals looking to advance their career and enhance their leadership skills. And now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, KSU's Executive MBA program. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these important stories. And today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Larry Williams with TAG and Jonathan O'Connor with Synovus here to be talking about the upcoming FinTech South event later in August. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Lee. Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Well, thank you both for coming on. Larry, before we get too far into things, why don't you share a little bit about TAG, the overview, mission, purpose, and how you're serving the community?
Oh, that's great, Lee. Thank you so much. We're always delighted to be here with you and Radio X. We are so super excited about what we can do in this community. TAG is really a professional organization of people that are interested in technology and the innovation economy. And what we do is we really bring together the ecosystem through lots of ways of engagement, tech for good projects, connecting the ecosystem and building peer-to-peer networks. We also do a lot of lobbying at both the state and the local level and the federal level to make sure that we continue to have great policies that will keep Georgia as the number one place to do business, as it has been for 11 years in a row. And then, of course, we've got to prepare the workforce of the future. And we're really dedicated to make sure that we have the most relevant workforce moving forward, because that's what drives economic growth.
And Jonathan, why was it important for Synovus to be involved with TAG and to be the title sponsor of this great event?
Absolutely, Lee. Look, Synovus is honored to be diamond sponsor for the event here. And in fact, we have a long history with TAG, with two board members. And, the bank itself is really here to support Transaction Alley in Atlanta, with our history from Columbus, in fact, being the oldest bank in Georgia. And we continue to grow in the state of Georgia with some recent news as well with our merger with Pinnacle. But, as we look at the FinTech ecosystem and we look at what's around us here, we've over 260 FinTech companies calling Atlanta home. 70% of all FinTech global transactions, in fact, run through Atlanta. And, we have a very great, robust infrastructure here, two of the largest fiber optic outlets. And we got the biggest airport in the world. So, all of these together with Synovus' support will not only fuse the ecosystem, but make FinTech South 2025 the best event of the year.
So what are some of the kind of unique advantages that Atlanta offers to FinTech companies and entrepreneurs, startups, and established enterprise-level companies to want to move here to Atlanta to do business in, like you said, Transaction Alley? Larry, you want to take that?
Sure. Hey, by all means, it's a lot of the things that Jonathan just said. So if you think about the area of expertise and focus that we have in Georgia about all things transactions. And, we didn't just stand up one day and say, plant a flag in the sand and say, we are going to be FinTech. No, we have been involved in FinTech since the early days. I mean, if you go back to Georgia's history, we used to process checks. If you remember a check, Lee, people would send the paper to Georgia and we would process it. We actually were involved in digitizing that system. So we helped create what is now the digital transactions world. In fact, Jonathan's co-MC at FinTech South coming up, Natalie Hogg, her grandfather was the pioneer of digitized payments. And so it's exciting to have them there. My point really is that we've helped build every part of our FinTech and transaction processing, and that's what's put us as number one in the world. we've helped build every layer of the onion when it comes to that. So, why does that make it attractive for people to expand and grow here or create new great ideas and build the next generation of ingenuity here? It's because we have the know-how. We've lived through every iteration of the process in the industry. We've helped build it. We have the lessons learned. We've got the successes, and we know what's going to be coming over. What's past 2 or 3 waves, and we're building that part of the future. People want to be part of that. We didn't get to the point of being able to um, um, be at the middle and process 70% of the world's transactions by accident. We did it intentionally. We built the industry over a couple of decades, and now we are in that position. And again, people want to be a part of that, and that success begets more success.
Now, when you're saying 70,
Larry, if I could just add to that,
yeah,
sorry,
please.
if I can just add to that, you know, by having Atlanta as a very transient hub and city. I'm not from Dublin, Georgia. I'm from Dublin, Ireland, and a lot of international people have made this their home to be part of this ecosystem, to form part of the ecosystem, and to grow together. And that's very special because our intellectual capital of not only local people, US based people, but also international people is a very attractive fusion. And as Larry said, the upcoming talent, the next generation of amazing FinTech professionals in colleges like KSU and other areas, that makes it all exciting for people like us to be involved in this as we hopefully transfer some knowledge and mentor as well into the next phase of this growth.
Now, Jonathan, you bring up a great point. I mean, you obviously you didn't come from Dublin, Georgia. You came from the UK. How is Atlanta seen? I know we aspire to be seen as this global um, environment and ecosystem that's serving the entire fintech community. And like you mentioned, 70% of these payments are globally. You weren't talking about, just in Georgia or the US. Those are 70% of the payments globally come through Atlanta. Is the region seen in a positive way? Like when people say, I'm going to fintech event, do they think Atlanta or they think Georgia or do they think, what do you mean why is that event there? Why isn't it in New York or San Francisco?
I think it's to that point, as Larry said, it's the history. This was tactically laid out many years ago, and we have a lot of these payment companies having headquarters here. And now we have involvements like the Merchant Services Limited Bank Charter, which is a very special piece of legislation for Georgia. That's now attracting large fintechs from Europe, the likes of checkout.com and other players who are possibly going to engage in this new area of innovation. But what attracts people here is, I would say, it's position. Atlanta's in a good spot in the US. You're not too far east, you're not too far west. Yeah, and it's the easiest of travel, having a great airport hub here, having access to great intellectual capital with people. And it would have been a very transient city. There's a lot of change here all the time. And they've got a very good soccer team. Atlanta.
That's a bonus, right? So now, Larry, how do you kind of encourage an event like FinTech South to become a catalyst for new ideas and strategic partnerships, and not just kind of a event that people come and just talk and leave? How do you kind of create that community and in that environment to encourage those kind of serendipitous collisions so that people can kind of collaborate more effectively?
The engineered serendipity, Lee, is that what you're
That's
referring
it.
to?
Engineered serendipity.
It's both an art and a skill as well. Um, so what we do is we're bringing the best thought leadership, the best content, the people who really know, what's now and what's next, so that they're sharing whether they be on the main stage or they're on one of our breakouts. So we make sure that we have the most relevant content. We also make sure that we feature some of the great assets that we've mentioned here throughout the show as well. We have our Innovation Challenge. So our Innovation Challenge, that's been going on for the balance of this year. That's where we bring together a cohort of startups, um, people that are really thinking, again, about that next generation of ingenuity, what's coming on, and how are they going to provide services and solve problems for that next generation. And Lee, on stage at FinTech South, August 18th, 19th and 20th, August 19th and 20th, we will award a single startup, FinTech startup, with a $25,000 non-dilutive award. That's huge. That really helps startup really propel them and catalyze them for the next part of their journey. We also have our Advance Award, where we celebrate companies that are established for coming up with great new innovations inside their enterprises. We've always got to stay fresh, and that's what keeps companies growing. That's what keeps them relevant. And we get to celebrate the people that have really brought this along. So our FinTech Hall of Fame, I am so happy and so thrilled to be recognizing Sean Banks of TTV Capital, who's been a part of a couple things. One, he's been really dedicated to investing in our startup community, making sure that they have the tools that they need, and really thinking about this Georgia ecosystem as a way that can lift them up. But he's been part of the broader ecosystem as well. He helped start the Technology Association of Georgia tags FinTech Society. So we were talking about FinTech, 20 years ago. We were doing FinTech before FinTech was cool. And we really helped grow and bring together that ecosystem. And Sean really helped bring that together and led that for many, many years. So those are a lot of things that we do. The other is making sure that we have places for people to interact, for people to connect, talk about what they're doing, how they're solving problems, the challenges and the opportunities they see. And then we can continue that great dialogue outside of the conference through our tag societies and with FinTech Atlanta and other organizations around the state. So they're built-in mechanisms to have an ongoing discussion even after we leave the room.
Now, Jonathan, why was it important for Synovus to get this involved with FinTech South, and how does that reflect the culture of the organization and your commitment to FinTech, number one, but also the community as a whole?
Yes, Lee, like Synovus itself, its commitment to community and community banking is core. And as we look at Atlanta, and Atlanta is one of our growth cities, being connected to the FinTech arena is so important to us from both a branch level, a community bank level, investment bank level. And we're hopefully going to be here to help some of these FinTechs as they start their journey on investments, they start their journey on funding, and really having a collaborative approach to supporting the FinTechs, not only startups but mature. You look at the 400, we call it FinTech Alley, because you take any exit off there, you'll hit anywhere from 5 to 7 payment companies and FinTech companies. And with Synovus, as embedded so much into the community of Atlanta, we want to really be there as a collaborator, advisor, helper for these companies as they grow. And we look forward to our participation in FinTech South 2025, our continued support of TAG and another association in Atlanta. And we see an exciting road ahead.
So, as Jonathan, as kind of being the boots on the ground and interacting with these organizations in the manner that you do, are you seeing any trends that we should be aware of, or challenges or opportunities in the marketplace today?
I think the opportunities definitely weigh any type of roadblocks for fintech today. I have to mention AI. Everything is AI today, but I think as we get to witness more AI powered solutions, I think that's a very exciting accelerator to both innovation and growth, not only in Atlanta and Georgia, but I think, globally. Um, because we have such a great presence and footprint in the financial services industry here, I think the maturation of blockchain and digital assets will play a very big role. You'll see institutional adoption now of crypto and stable coins. There was a very important piece of legislation this year called the Genius Act. And probably from a banking perspective, I think, real world asset tokenization will be very important. Having token deposits. And you'll see a fusion, I think, of blockchain as a service and AI. Blockchain will play a bigger role, I think, now with the acceleration of not only stablecoin and crypto, but from a payments perspective, how it will happen. We're also in the world you know, of a less stringent regulatory environment, which I think will trigger a lot of innovation because people will rethink some of their models from before. And that said, then we do always have to keep an eye on security and fraud and areas like that. So hoping that the advances we make in technology will will help customers and help any type of customer, be protected. So I think overall a very exciting path ahead, and we've got some great talk tracks and speakers about these particular topics at FinTech South. So get your tickets today, and you'll get to enjoy it.
Now, Larry, has there been a moment, you've been involved in this since the beginning, that has really inspired you and has really encouraged you in the growth of fintech in the region and the area? Is there a story you can share that maybe kind of encapsulates the potential and how we're just kind of really at the beginning of all this?
Lee, what's really fascinating is the way money moves. And that has been evolving over the last couple decades. And what's always fascinating to me is seeing the dramatic and subtle changes of how that's been happening. So whenever we think about, like I said, the digitization of payments, as well as, the acceleration of digital payments, and then how it's been migrating over to commercial and B2B payments. All of those have been iterative steps in this process. Some of the things that Jonathan just outlined about the big mega trends that are going on, the things that are fueled by both policies or more open policies about how we're going to be able to function, the creation of things like stable coins that he mentioned, as well as the new tools that are available like artificial intelligence, and then what quantum. When we talked, and Lee, you might remember, we talked a lot about quantum computing at the Georgia Technology Summit earlier this year. That is all going to bring in fascinating improvements and opportunities. It's also going to create some of the threats that we do that, we have to be much more diligent about cybersecurity and fraud. But all of these things that we've been talking about, those are the things that we're good at in Georgia. We're good at looking at the future, looking at how these, transformative technologies like AI are coming and how do we manifest them. So it's been an iteration. Lee, this is our 8th annual FinTech South. So we've got a great, we're established, we've got great roots, we've got great traction, but we didn't start there either. For 8 years before that, we were doing a FinTech symposium that really started to grow this and create a foundation for us to move this. And Lee, you'll remember when we moved it out of a small ballroom and into Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, that was drastic. So I think that puts a spotlight onto what we have, the amount of attention that this region has, and how we can continue to be the epicenter for not only financial transactions, but fintech. This year, super excited about having Sean Neville, the co-founder and a member of the board of directors of Catena Labs. Catena Labs is going to be the first native AI platform for FinTech that's really going to think about all aspects of the transaction, the compliance, the fraud and cybersecurity protections. All of these things built into one, and listening to Sean's perspective are going to be extremely, extremely important. Dr. Raphael Bostic is going to be there. He's the president and CEO of the Federal Reserve of Bank of Atlanta, and Alasia Abate, who is an entrepreneur, futurist, and she will be talking about the future is now as it comes to payments, but also beyond that. Now, Lee, I'm going to give everybody a little preview. We're announcing it tomorrow, but we also have the benefit of Mayor Andre Dickens coming and helping us make sure that this thing is successful. And Lee, I want to make one more point about this. It's not just about the people on stage. It's about the people in the room. Those are the people that you're going to network with. That's where you're going to build your contacts. That's where you're going to build relationships. And those are the people that we're going to use to continue this conversation after the conference is over.
Now, you mentioned a lot of the reasons to attend. If you're an individual, is this only for kind of the executives, or does this trickle down to the students that are, in the university studying FinTech? Like, who should be attending?
Oh, by all means, we're going to have students there. So whether you're an employer looking for the greatest talent, or if you're a talent looking to get into the FinTech industry, we've got a great partnership with our friends at the FinTech Academy. So we are actually building out, and we are having, quite a few tickets that are being dedicated to our next generation of talent that'll be there. And so I know a lot of our members, as well as the people that are helping underwrite this thing, are super excited about this talent, giving them the exposure they need and giving them an opportunity to learn more about the real world experiences in FinTech. And it's interesting because when students get exposed to this, or young people get exposed to it, they get super excited about it. So delighted to say that. Individuals, by all means, people, if you're in and interested in FinTech, you should be there. Like I said, it's not just the people on stage; it's the people in the room. And those are the people that you're going to be able to network with. So, love for you to go online at fintechsouth.com and get those tickets.
And Jonathan, how do you recommend to your people to get the most out of FinTech South event? Is there any kind of do's and don'ts you recommend for an attendee?
Lee, I was a first timer last year and I ended up as chairman this year, so anything is possible. Um, what I would say is that when you walk into the Woodruff Center, and the sheer energy on the floor is what really amazed me. The collaboration, as Larry said, it's students, it's middle management, it's senior management, it's employees. Everyone's collaborating on this really, refined area, and people sitting on stairs, and so the atmosphere is amazing. My advice is, make as much contacts as you can. For your brand and business, it's very important. For your network, it's very important. And you're going to learn so much from people because we've got such amazing topics during the day. It's going to generate so much debate and great conversation during the breaks. So that's all the pluses. The only downfall is if you don't have a ticket, you won't get the benefit. So I would say definitely get your tickets, and be part of this. Be part of this experience of collaboration, knowledge transfer. Meeting new people, and if we're going to exceed our expectations from last year, and we're super excited for the next 2 weeks get going.
So, Larry, if somebody wants tickets or wants to learn more about TAG, what's the website? What's the best way to connect?
Lee, the best way is through fintechsouth.com, fintechsouth.com, but you can always get there through tagonline.org as well, and just go to our events, and you can find every way to get registered and get plugged in with this. And I just want to build on something that Jonathan was just saying, and that is, when you get in there, you want to go to our Innovation Alley, which is like our expo hall. There'll be 40 plus exhibitors, sponsors, and that's where we'll also talk about the people in our FinTech ecosystem, Innovation Challenge, and also, the over 50 university students that are pursuing FinTech careers. So you want to be there, you want to be engaged.
And Jonathan, if people want to learn more about Synovus and maybe connect with you or somebody on the Synovus team, what's the website?
Absolutely. We are www.synovus.com. We will also have a booth and a presence at the event. So we'll be happy to field any questions, have some conversations, explore even more about how we can help at community level. And we're very excited to do that.
All right. Well, Larry, Jonathan.
Lee, you'll be there, right?
Absolutely. We haven't missed one yet. Well, Larry and Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.